Hey everyone, so 2Real is released yet another traffic mod, this time for Mulholland Drive, and I'm going to show you how to install it in this video. But also I'm going to go through 5 of the biggest tracks that he has released mods for, and they're all really good. So all the links are in the description, and I'm going to talk you through the new setup process for the tools that you need to get this traffic working, because it has changed slightly. And also I'm going to talk you through getting the public beta for Shutoko. That's really cool. As ever, do check out the rest of the channel if it's your first time here. There are hundreds of Assetto Corsa mod, tutorial and guides on the channel. But before we go through all that, I'm gonna just cover a car. Now this is not a new mod, but this is a new mod to me, and this is the Nissan Skyline R32 GTR V-Spec 2 by Minus, and this was recommended to me by one of my subscribers when I was putting together my top 20 cars for 2022. Now I did miss this was right at the beginning of the year, but I'm just going to go through it now. It looks fantastic on the inside and out. The link is in the description, and as ever with all of these great mods, do support the modder. So I did say there's a new install process for installing the tools to get this up and running. So if you've not gone through the previous video, I'll put a link at the top now. You can see the old install process, but this new install process makes it much more simple. Couple of things just to point out: this is going to install 25 cars for you if you've not done this before. It needs at least CSP 1.79. The file is at the bottom of the screen there, and it's a Patreon link, but it is free. Do remember, guys, on Patreon there are still lots of things that are free on there. So I've downloaded it, extracted it, and dropped it on my desktop, and this is what you're going to get. You're going to get CSP traffic tool folder with those files in it, and then it's really simple to get this up and running. You just need to drag it into the right place. Steam Apps, Common, Assetto Corsa, Extension, and then we're going to go into Lua, and then we're going to go into Tools at the bottom there. So just double click on there. Now, even if you've got this installed from the previous process, I would reinstall it again because it's got some bug fixes in it. So just drag and drop it and copy it over there. If you've not done this before, you only need to do it once. If it says to overwrite anything, say yes. And then this is going to install all of the CSP tool folders that we need to get the traffic up and running. So once we've done that process just once, we can then download the track specific files, and that's what I've done here. So this is the Mulholland Drive, and you can see I've got a services and a traffic.json file. Now when you open the readme, you should do this on every time you install any of these on a different track. You will see you've got a very specific area to put this in, and that is because most of these tracks have different layouts. If you put it into the wrong layout and you run the wrong layout, it's not going to work. So let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to open my root Assetto Corsa directory up here, and you can see we're going to go into content, then we're going to go into tracks, and on this one we're going to go into Mulholland Drive. So this config file is specific for this particular track. So let's find it. It's there, look, V1. Now this one actually needs to go into the free roam data file. You can see I went into free roam and data. If I was to put it into one of the other ones, then it wouldn't work. So this is Mulholland V1 free roam and data. So I'm just going to open the file up that I've downloaded, and you can see I've got services and traffic.json there. I'm just going to copy those over. These are only small files, so they'll copy really quickly, and if it asks you to overwrite anything, just say yes. So replace the file in the destination, we're going to say yes. So that will be the services file that we've just overwritten there. So the reason I've gone through that is I've had a lot of questions since the last video on things not working correctly, so they are the pieces to just keep an eye on. Okay, once we go into custom shader patch, look down the list on the left and find GUI. You can see that here we've got a tick box that needs to be ticked. This says point and click object inspector, and the reason we're ticking this, it brings it then up into the drive menu when we're actually in the drive screen when we're running the game. If you haven't got that ticked, it's not going to come up, and I'll show you where to find that now. So this is Mulholland Drive. We've all played this map. It's one of the best free roam maps. Really cool stuff, and this is what it normally looks like. So what I'm going to do is just show you how to put the traffic on, and do remember this traffic shouldn't affect your performance, but it does depend on your rig. So going to the top of the screen at the right and pressing the 4 boxes, this brings up a long list of all the applications that you can access, and you can see Object Inspector isn't there at the top, it's right at the bottom. So it's just there, look, it's got like a little crosshair on it. So if you click on it, it will then pop up on the screen. Once you've used it once, the way the CSP menu works and Content Manager, it will then tag it to the right hand screen, so you don't need to go looking for it again. And then you're going to click on Tools on this pop-up box, and then when the little drop down box comes on, you're going to click on Traffic Planner. That will then bring this next screen up, and you can see very clearly that all of the traffic is now spawning. So there is a slider bar here that you can move around, and to be honest, as soon as this starts to run, I would drop it right down and then move it up depending on the map, your CPU, your graphics card, your rig. It all makes a difference. Here then I've got about 85 cars running, and to be honest, for this map, because it's just 2 lanes on 1 road, it really looks cool. So I'm just showing you how to set up today. You can drive all of these. All the traffic has got full collision based physics as well, which is great. But also do remember that the replays don't work on this. So when you're in car and you're looking around the car, playing the game live, it all works fine. If you go onto replays, you're not going to see the traffic on there. This is all very experimental at the moment, so do keep a close eye on what 2Real is actually doing on Race Department. Again, all the links to the tracks, to all of the 2Real mods, and all the traffic tools are in the description. So once you've watched the video, do check those out. And as ever, support Tom in all the work that he's doing in 2Real traffic. So that is the first track that I'm going to show you today, but there's another 4 tracks, and you're going to download these and you're going to install them in the same way. But just to reiterate again, when you download one of these tracks, do go into the README file and make sure it's going into the right place. This is particularly important when I'm going to show you one of the Shutoko tracks later on, and that's a public beta that I'm going to show you how to install. But lots of these tracks have different layouts. Let's go on to track 2 then, and this is Saudi Arabia Streets. Now the reason I've featured this one is it's a very wide open track with lots of different lanes. So you can see here I've got about 150 cars on. This is quite a huge map, but when I start to ramp up the number of cars, and in some of this footage I think I've actually got about 700 cars on there, you can see that it is awesome the way this traffic works. So I know CSP has a normal traffic flood. Actually, that will give you about 6 to 10 cars depending on your PC setup. This is giving you hundreds and hundreds of cars, and it is definitely giving you a different kind of experience on Assetto Corsa. So remember again, all the links are in the description below. Next up we have Honda Ribia by Simtrax. Now the Simtrax maps are actually on sale and they're free at the moment. I don't know how long that is going to last for, but all of the mods today are completely free. Even the bits that are on Patreon, they are public. So do remember, on Patreon there are public parts and there are paid for mods on there. So people think Patreon is just for paid for mods. It's not. It's a platform where people can showcase their work. This map is again pretty cool, a different look and feel than the previous 2 I've just covered, but also just look at the traffic. So there are small motorbikes on here, all the way up to double-decker buses, and they're all part of that 25 pack that we downloaded earlier on, so these are automatically set up for you. Next up we have a track that I've actually driven quite a lot in the past, but I've just re-downloaded the latest version, and this is Alpine Pass. Again, it's something a little bit different, so you will see how the traffic here is actually running correctly on the junctions. So those config files that 2Real have been putting together actually puts all the lanes on here as well as the AI, and it means that then there's working traffic lights, there's working junctions. It really is pretty fantastic stuff. And on the Shutoko track, the one I'm going to show you last in this video, you'll see how important that is, especially when you're inside a very busy city. So let's just go to that Shutoko bit now. We've just looked at this Alpine Pass, and just to make clear, there is a public Shutoko release, and that is 0.9.1, and then there is also a public testing build, and this is the one that we are going to run, and it's 0.9.2 beta. I will drop the Discord link below if you've not gone here yet, but when you do go here, go into the public testing builds and you can download then from one of the link. The standard builds are in the setup installation section, so this is a different section. Once you've installed it, it's drag and drop into Content Manager as normal. You will see here when I go into my tracks, I've got the standard version, which is that beta version, just to be even more confusing. And then I've got the PTB version, which is the public test beta. And then if you read the README, when you've downloaded the 2Real traffic for this, it goes into Shutoko Shibuya spawn folder, and that's the one that we've just got into the data folder there. Once you've installed the public test beta, then when you go into Content Manager, you've got 2 different versions of Shutoko. This one is the one that you want to run in. It's Shibuya Temp. And as I said earlier, if you do not run this specific version that you've just put the information in that data file, then you're not going to get the traffic. So All of that done, you are going to get this awesome mod up and running, and this is the public test beta with 2 real traffic running. And as you can see, it's a very different kind of landscape from the others that we've seen in this video. I think this is absolutely the best, and here again I think I've got about 600 items of traffic on, and you get proper traffic jams. It is really cool stuff. There are lots of complicated intersections on here, and because this is a public test beta, it does have some different parts of the map that you're not going to see on the other version of Shutoko, the standard public release. This is something great to experiment with, so do have fun with this. And I'm also going to give a big shout out now to Tom at 2 Real Traffic, because all of the hard work he's putting into this. This is his part-time hobby. It's obviously considerable. All of these need to be mapped correctly to get this kind of traffic working. So big shout out, Tom. Thank you for all the hard work that you're doing there. I will put the link to Tom's Patreon in the description as well, and also on Race Department, so you can get hold of him on any of those areas if you've got any questions about how this works. But do say thank you, and do say hello to Tom when you drop onto there, and offer him any support that you can. Do check out also my latest CSP video that released a few days ago. All the new CSP features are now live in that experimental preview build, and thank you so much for watching. See you soon, guys.